All right, my friends, time for some question and answers. Receiving a lot of questions lately, and I got my laptop over here, which I'll go over some of the questions with you, and then I'll go over the answers too. So the first one comes from my man Mike up in Delaware, I believe. And Mike says, "Hey Josh, during retirement, if we are doing Roth conversions, will those funds need to be included in the provisional income tax calculation to determine how much of your Social Security income would be taxed?" Yes. yes, they will. Yes, they will. And so the question on this, if you're not familiar with the whole provisional income, let me just draw it down real quick. Who knows who's watching for the first time? I cannot stress how important this is, my friends. Provisional income is to determine how much of your Social Security benefits taxed. So we got $30,000 of Social Security, $30,000 of IRA distributions, however they are, be it a Roth conversion or, literally it doesn't matter what this income could even be tax exempt interest, by the way. 30,000 Social Security, 30,000 IRA. We take half our Social Security and we add to the $30,000 of other income that we have, which makes our $45,000 our provisional income. All right, 45,000 bucks. Now, what we do, my friend here, Mike, is married filing jointly. And so what we do is we take that $45,000 of provisional income, and there's 3 points we got to recognize. The first, $32,000, none of that 45 is subject to income tax at all. All right, so all this will do is tell us how much of our Social Security is subject to tax. Of this 45,000, the first 32, if you're married filing jointly, none is subject to tax. And if you see my hands are dirty, because I'm, again, out in the garden. 32 to 44, 50% of that amount is subject to tax. Oops. And then anything above 44, 85%. So let me see if blink. All right. Anything above 44. All right, so in this case, we got the first 32 of 45, nothing. 45 minus 44 minus 32 is 12, equals 12K, which equals $6,000 is subject to income tax. And this will make sense in here in just a second. So the next, we got, again, the first 32, 0, 44 minus 32 is 12. And we're going to times that 12 by 50, which will equal $6,000 will be subject to income tax. We'll put that over here. Anything 45 minus 44 is 1,000. Times that by 0.85, and that's 850. So we equal 6,000 plus 850. So total 6,850 of our Social Security in this scenario will be subject to income tax. All right, so what we do now, that's our provisional income. My friends, I got tons of videos on how to do this. You got to know this, man. So now we take the $30,000 we made from IRA distributions plus the 6,850, and now it's going to mean 38,650 is our AGI. All right, so we got 30,000 from IRA distribution. Literally doesn't matter. In this case, it won't be tax exempt interest. It's either going to be IRA distribution, pension income, and you name it. But 30,000 plus 6,850, which is your taxable Social Security, equals 38,650 is your AGI. All right, so just remember that 6,850 is your taxable Social Security. We're just going to say Mike's under the age of 24. No, it's 24. We're going to say Mike and his wife, his beautiful wife, are under the age of 65. So we're going to say 24,000 of standard deductions, 14,650. So they're going to have a taxable income of 14,650. All right, and so that IRA, this 30,000 IRA, doesn't matter if it's coming from a required distribution, doesn't matter if it's coming from a Roth conversion, it doesn't matter. As long as it's coming out, you're paying tax on it, and it will be subject to tax and provisional income. Sucks, but that's the way it is. So you got to get it done ideally before you take Social Security. All right, let's pause and go to another one. Hold on just a second. This one isn't really a question. It's more of a comment from my man John in Oregon. And he says, "Thank you so much for your videos on income annuities. And the one about the Fidelity Guaranteed Income one. My wife was against the idea of giving up any portion of our cash for an annuity. We like to listen to Dave Ramsey too. Cheating on me, John. And I could not really explain what a period certain was or how it worked. What we have to do is select a joint life with 20-year period certain option and designate one or more of her family as beneficiaries. If an asteroid falls on our house in, say, year 4 and takes us both out, her sister will get the remaining 16 years of payments. That's exactly right. And if my beautiful lives more than 20 years, the payments roll for the rest of her life. Man, you hit it on the head, John. That's 100% correct. We watched your videos on TV last night. My wife loves your garbage garage studio. And she came around completely when you reviewed the Fidelity tool. Now we can take action with a portion of our investments at Fidelity. All right, that's good. And then John also talks about his pension as well. So that's fantastic. So just remember, a 20-year period certain. Maybe you'll draw this one out too. I mean, just say you put we put $100,000 in, and we're just gonna say it pays 5.5% a year, which would be what's that? $5,500. Yeah, $5,500. Divide that by 12. It'll pay $458 a month. Now, how much it pays a year will depend on your age. All right. So if you're 22 years old, it's not going to pay you $5,500 a month. All right. So in this case, you put $100,000 a year. It's a 5.5% payout rate. It's going to pay you $458 a month. Joint and life survivor annuity with a 20-year period certain, and that just simply means it will pay $458 a month for 20 years. So we know for a fact, 458 times 240. You're going to get back $110,000. You or your heir, somebody that is close to you, will get back $110,000. That is a fact. Does that make sense? So no matter what happens, if you die by that asteroid falling off your table there, or falling off your head, you're going to get more. Someone's going to get more than what you put in. Well, it won't be you because you're dead, but your estate will. All right. So now what if you died, John, in year 1 and your wife lives 30 years? Well, in that case, your wife will get 438 times 360, 164,000, and I'm not using a change. We'll just say 165,000 for 30 years. All right, so she'll get 64,000 more than she put in, and then when she dies, it'll be done. Now, if both of you all die in year 4, well, you guys got paid 458 times 48. You guys got $22,000. All right, because you both died in year 4, and now your heirs are going to get, that's 16 times 12, 120. That's 192 payments at 458. Now your heirs are going to get 87,936. All right, so that's how it works. You know for a fact that at least somebody will get paid more than what you put in, be it you or be it your heirs. The nice thing about annuities that a lot of people overlook is what's called the mortality credit. So if you all if someone does not buy the joint life with period certain and they die early, that's not going to the insurance company, it's going to you. It subsidizes you. So the longer you live, the more of a rate of return it will be. In fact, let me do some quick calculations. Hold on just a second. All right, so the thing with the mortality credits is the longer you live, the more beneficial it's going to be. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here we have a rate of it as IRR, an internal rate of return. So if you die within the 20 years, it's only going to pay you 0.96%. That'll be your internal rate of return in IRR. That's the actual interest you're receiving ultimately from the insurance company. However, if you live 25 years, and again, if you're 65 years old, that may one of you all live until you're 90, and there's a high probability of that happening. The IRR will be 269. But if you live 30 years, it's 3.66 is your internal rate of return. And if one of you all lives 35 years, it's a 4.25. And that's the wonder with the annuities, that the longer you live, the higher your IRR is going to be. And that's because of mortality credits, because the earlier people die, they're subsidizing you. And the people who live the longer get the best bang for the buck on annuities. The people who are dead lose out, but they're dead, so they don't care. So that's the benefit of those income annuities. I think it's overlooked a lot. A lot of people say, why would I do that for 20 years when I can just basically put it, and I can take, I mean, basically I don't have to get any income, just pull the principal off. I said, no, I get that. And that's a great argument. But if you live 25 and 30 years, the argument becomes a lot more in favor of the annuities. So the question is, what's your life expectancy? 65 years old today, and you're married filing jointly, it doesn't really matter how you're taxed, but if you're married or a couple at 65 years old today, there's a high probability that one of you all are going to live well beyond your 90s. All right, so let's take another one. So I got a question from Alan in Texas. He says, in your guaranteed income annuity video, you didn't cover the backside and payout fees. How does that play in your decision? I'm not on a SPIA, an income annuity. there is no backside or payout fees, so I'm not sure. Now, it's irrevocable. I mean, you'll have no more access to the principal you put in, so it's not a liquid account. So you're literally turning it over. You cannot not do it after. Usually, you have a 15 or 30-day free look period, but so I'm not sure about the backside and payout fees. I'm not sure about that, Alan. So I'll have to plead ignorance there about your question. How about doing a video series on the couch potato portfolio investment strategies? Yeah, I'm not all that familiar with couch potato, so I'll have to pause on that and revert back to that. I got more videos on a couple that I've been meaning to do. I'll share with you here in a little bit, the next couple of days on other investment ideas I think you'll like, guys. All right, so Randy, I'm not sure where he's from. He writes in, I gave $20,000 to my son. Do I have to file the gift tax return? Yes, you have to file a 709. Anytime you give more than the annual exclusion amount, which I think this year is $15,000, you have to file the 709. Absolutely. It's a one-pager. Looks like Randy's having some difficulty figuring out. I can't guide you on how to figure out your tax forms, unfortunately, but I mean, it's literally all it is the IRS taking a running tally of how much you have given. That's for sure. So that way they can make sure you don't go above the 11 million threshold that you have. So I'm not. So in this case, two questions. Do you have to file it? Yes, and I can't figure out how to do it. Okay, you do have to file once you get over 15. How you figured out how to do it, I don't know. I would just encourage you to go seek tax advice for sure. Seek someone who knows what they're doing. Hate to say it, but that's the best I got for there. So okay, let's keep going. All right, so here's a great question from Jim in Missouri. Wife is 66 and took Social Security in January. I'll be 66 in September. Both of us were born before 1954. That's great. The question is, can she suspend her current benefits and claim spousal benefits on my full benefit and allow her benefit to grow? All right, so we're talking about restricted application here. You remember that? So I'm going to revert back to the video. I'll put a link in the show notes about that, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. So this is too bad, but I'm reading directly from the SSA. A spouse must be full retirement age and born before 1954, January 1st, born before actually January 2nd, 1954, to file a restricted application for spousal benefit only, and must not have already filed for their own benefits. All right, so if you got your own benefits, you can't take the restricted application. So that's too bad. So the answer to your question, I think, what was your name, Jim, is no. She cannot suspend her current benefits and claim spousal benefits under the restricted app because she is already taking her benefit. Now, on the other hand, because you were born before 1954, you could. I mean, literally, I'll read you the verbatim stuff here that you can. Now, I've still gone on Social Security office. I've had a lot of people complain about Social Security office lately. I hope this is not representative of what's going down there. A spouse claimant on or at past full retirement age has the right to restrict the application. However, let's see here. For anyone found for okay, all right, okay, you will now be deemed okay. Yeah, so you absolutely can here. If you will not be deemed to have, okay, so if your spouse has already filed for benefits, you will not be deemed to be applying for a spousal benefit. Later, when they subsequently file for their own benefit, that deem finally kicks in. So, Jim, you should go down there and talk to him and say, hey, look, I'm born before 1954, January 2nd. My wife is taking her benefits. I would like to file a restricted application. Absolutely. I mean, I'm reading it verbatim, and the facts are because you haven't taken it. You are at your full retirement age, and you haven't born after 2 January 1954. You should be good to go. All right, let's keep going. All right, so more Social Security questions. This is from Tom in California. He's 62 years old. He saw my video on how you can retire on Social Security alone. That's when I'm working on my book. That seemed to get a lot of people fired up. I flipped out. My wife and I have been to a retirement seminar that lasted 3 days, and none of it explained this to us as well as you did in 30 minutes. All right, well, I appreciate that. Let's see. When I look at my Social Security statement and it shows the estimate for my full monthly benefit at age 66, does that number include my wife's benefit? And he says, I'm 99% sure it doesn't, but just want to be sure. It absolutely does not. What's this guy's name again? Tom, it does not include your spouse's benefit. Number two, does that number take into account the COLA from now till then? No, it just, no, because actually we don't know what it is. I mean, the trustees report assumes 2.6 going forward, but we don't know what it's going to be. So the answer is no. It just is a snapshot today, what your benefit would look like today. Now, it does assume you make that same amount of money from now until you draw. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So if you're retiring at 62 and the benefit says you're going to make $2,700 a month and you're making, what's the max, 135 a year, it'll assume you're making that 135 a year from now until you're 67. All right. So then he says, my wife's benefit is a lot lower than mine. She is 7 months younger. Can she file and get half of my benefit at 66? If I'm no, so he's basically asked about the spousal benefit. She can't do that while he's waiting for his full retirement age because you have to have filed. So no, the rules changed drastically in 2015. I mean, I hate to say they changed it. They changed it to make it more solvent, but for those of you in this right around now, it sucks, man, because the benefits that other people got a few years previously are no longer available to you. But that's the nature of the business. So what's going to happen is when you file, because of members, you have to be full retirement age and have filed, and you're not, so you haven't filed, so your wife can't get spousal benefits anyway. But when you do file, she can get spousal benefits then, but it'll be based on her record versus her spousal benefits. So whatever's more, they'll pay. All right. So hope that helps. Okay, so let's go do it. All right, so this is actually a good question. I almost didn't read it because I couldn't tell it was a question. I thought it might be spam, but it's not. This is from Jeff. I guess he's in Cali. I saw your video about using the HELOC, the home equity line of credit. Make sure I got time check. All right, cool. This is actually interesting. What do you think about using the HELOC with a zero balance at retirement and the first paid off as an offset fund instead of taking 2 to 3 years out for buckets for funding when and if the market will drop? And I like how he said when, because it's only a matter of time for it does. It doesn't mean Trump's going to get impeached or Bernie's taking over. I mean, it just doesn't mean anything. It just happens. The nature of the business cycle. Assuming that HELOC has a relatively low interest rate to start, of course, it can go up, but the market drops. It shouldn't go up. I'd like to keep most of my money in funds for growth when start. Man, that's tough. That's a tough one, man. I like the fact you. What's the name? Jeff. I like the fact you got your home equity line of credit open and your first is paid off, and you're going to keep the second open. Man, it's a tough one. I frankly, I don't have any qualm with it, except for the fact, because a couple things. The home equity line of credit is not taxable income to you, which is wonderful. And so this would be a wonderful time to start moving money from a traditional IRA to a Roth for sure, or just to start moving money out of your traditional IRA/401k and using your home equity line of credit as a method to put food on the table. I think that's a great idea. I probably should do a video on that. That's a fantastic idea. But here's the problem. Let's say you take $50,000 out of your home equity line of credit and you leave that $50,000 in the market, regardless of what you're doing. Market's off 20%, which is, that's just a drop in the bucket, right? So the market is down $10,000. Well, now you only got $40,000 to show for it, but you still have $50,000 of debt. And as much as it's no big deal because the home equity line of credit interest rates aren't going up, and you're willing to play the long game. It still sucks, man. You still got $40,000 of equity and $50,000 of liability, whereas before you had 40, 50, and 50. It stinks. But I would probably preface it, if I were advising you, I'd say, look, if you're going to do that because it'll give you less, there's no taxable income, now is the time to be doing that, in which to move money from traditional to Roth without question. Get money out of your traditional IRA by hook or by crook, the minimum tax amount advised, especially before it takes Social Security, because that's another thing is he wants to defer Social Security as long as he possibly can too. So, man, I got no qualm with that. I do like that Unison idea. I did a video on those Unison company where they'll actually buy a piece of your equity. And I thought that was pretty cool. You might want to look into that as well. All right, let's take a couple more. Thanks. All right, we got a 19-year-old Ryan who's in community college and he's making $10 an hour while he's enrolled in community college, and later on he wants to become a financial advisor. All right, good stuff, man. A fiduciary. As I want to give the best service that suits the people's needs, man. I'm gonna have to do a video on fiduciary. I got caught up in that for a few months, and I recognize it's all smoke, meat, mirrors, my friend. Smoke, meat, mirrors. But I get it, Ryan. I get what you're trying to do. How should he invest as a 19-year-old guy? I mean, hell's bells. If you probably don't have that much money to start with, do a Roth IRA and fund that sucker as aggressively as you possibly can. The total stock market index and done. I'm just telling you, $100 a month, $1,000,000 a month, however you can, just put it in a Roth IRA into the total stock market index and never look back. I mean, it's literally that simple. I wouldn't do anything else. No bonds, for the love of the good Lord. No bonds, no bonds. I hope that. Just real quick on the fiduciary thing, don't get so caught up in that, Ryan. I'm just telling you, man, just because some guy is not a fiduciary doesn't mean he's any worse than if it's a commission-based salesman than a fiduciary who's charging 2% a year. Just don't get too caught up in this fiduciary. I'm a fiduciary, because it's silly, man. All right, let's take one more, and then let's see what time. I probably got one or two more, so hang with me. David says, in regards to recent video on Social Security taxation, when I look at this online Social Security tax calculations, like on the Motley Fool calculator below, which I might have to take a look at, one of the first questions they ask is what your marginal tax bracket is. To me, that seems like putting the cart before the horse. Isn't this something the calculator should be figuring out for you? I haven't looked into the... how do I know what my marginal tax bracket is going to be unless I know what my taxable income is? Man, I agree. I haven't looked at the Motley Fool calculator. I probably ought to, but man, right on, David. I think that's 100%. How do you know? You can't say your marginal tax rate until you know what your provisional tax is, and the provisional income tax tells you how much of your Social Security is subject to taxation, which is part of the equation for marginal tax rate. Bah! So you're right on. I'll have to take a look at that Fool calculator, because that's I chuckle at that. All right, a couple more. All right, here's a homeboy from a 207 area code, which is the great state of Maine. All right, my wife has a defined, Chris, my wife has a defined retirement benefit from her employer, that's a pension plan, along with the Motto's 403B and not a Roth. She does qualify for Social Security. Now, he says SSI, and I don't know what, I assume he means Social Security income. I'm just telling you, be careful when you say Social Security, because SSI is supplementary security income, social income. I can't remember, but anyways, SSI is like for poor people. So just be careful using that terminology, acronym for Social Security income. SSI means supplemental security income. I forgot, but it just means for poor people. So I assume she qualifies for Social Security is what he's saying. And that's fine. I don't know what that means. Does that mean she's already at full retirement age? Or I don't know. But we're just going to say she will get Social Security at some point. After watching some of your videos, I think we should start putting our contributions to a Roth. All right, okay, he's 49 and she's 54. Is it too late? No, hell no, it's not too late, man. 49 and 54, you're just a spring chicken, brother. I'm 40, almost 49. Roth is the way to go. Now, he is subject to the windfall elimination provision, which sucks, but I mean, what are you going to do about it? I mean, it's not going away anytime soon, and so you can deal with that. Just remember, that max is what, $480 a month. They're going to reduce it. That's at max, just not a huge issue. I mean, look, I'm not trying to make light of that, but it's not enough to make you, and I'm not saying you're doing this, Christopher, but it's not enough to make you run around chicken leg head cut off thinking you'll never be able to retire. It's not. There's a government pension offset. GPO is a big one. All right, so after watching, should they do contributions to the Roth? The answer is 100% unequivocally yes, without question. And if they don't match on her 403B, I wouldn't mess with it. I just do a Roth IRA. Was it $6,000 a year because she's over 50? Is it 6 or 7? I can't remember. But I just do the Roth and be done with it without question. So hope this helps. All right. Now, he does ask me if I do consultations. I need to do a video on this. I'm getting out a lot more, actually, and I appreciate that for sure. I just I'm thinking on this, and I just need to kind of think of. I'll maybe post a thing on my a poll on my website, on the YouTube channel about that, because I'm hesitant to go down that road. All right, let's keep going. One more. All right, so here's another question on Roth 403Bs. Look, if you have most 403B that I have seen, they don't. The employer does not match, and the reason for that is because they're already offering a pension. So if you have access to a 403B and it's not a Roth and you're not getting an employer plan, I wouldn't mess with it. I just wouldn't. If you have access, in this case he does. He has a Roth 403B his wife got access to. And you can put in more than the max you could put into a Roth IRA. So again, I don't have my numbers here, but I think the Roth, let's see, what is the max? There it is. The max for Roth is this year, 2019, $7,000. So if you're over 50, it's $7,000. So if you can put more than $7,000 into a retirement plan of some source, then you should do the Roth 403b without question, because you can put up to, I think, 24,000 in that. But if you're only looking at, say, $500 a month, which is real money, then just do straight the Roth IRA. I just wouldn't mess with the 403b. A lot of times the 403b providers don't give you great options. They don't. A lot of times it's through an insurance company. As a matter of fact, Valic used to ring a bell, Horace Mann, those kind of things. The plans are a lot of times very, very expensive without many offerings for sure, because they're insurance products. So this is from my man here, Arno. I wouldn't mess with the 403b unless I'm going to contribute more than $7,000 a year. And now if the company's going to match, by all means, absolutely. Never want to not do the match. But if they don't match and you're not doing more than $7,000 a year, just do a Roth IRA. All right, my friends, that's it for Q&A this time. I still got a lot more to do. Maybe I'll do a second session later on. But right now, I'm going to go get one of my kids from the bus stop. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.